Hello, I hope y'all are all doing well. It's January 19th. Today I'm going to be talking about many winter storms that could be affecting multiple areas of the U.S. over the next week. I'm also going to be talking about an ongoing severe weather event. So yeah, I hope y'all are all doing very well today. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So this is our day one convective outlook from the SPC. We can see we have an enhanced risk situated across areas of Ohio. Very small risk though today. We have a 2% tornado risk, 30 sig wind. So the wind threat's kind of our big threat. If we take a look at radar real quick over in that area, we can see we have multiple M-ping reports down like into the Columbus area from before, but we can see we have a line of there's probably some strong wind all along this, but then maybe some severe gusts expected in this area, so this warning is just for 60, but either way, this is coming into Cleveland right now as they make this, although by the time this is actually posted, it will probably have already gone through Cleveland, but that's what's going on right now. Storm report wise today, you can see we had 3 wind reports in Indiana and 2 in Ohio. So yeah, we take a look at this January though. This is okay. Keep in mind though, this is not including today, so we do have a few reports to add, and not including yesterday. But from January 1st to the 17th, very active start to the year already. I mean, just looking at the Southeast, Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, Tennessee, Kentucky, both the Carolinas, Florida Panhandle, and northern Florida, Louisiana. I mean, all these areas have already gotten a lot of severe weather. And then, I mean, even areas we don't normally expect, like up in Illinois and Iowa, and then even back over in Oklahoma. And even the West has been picking up on some of this damage wind report in Arizona, and then a big clump of reports in California, with even a couple of tornado reports mixed in there. So we can see the biggest day here appears to be January 13th, if I had to guess. Go back, let me just click here. It's January 12th. That's my bad. Yeah, January 12th, which was when we had this event here, where we had just a ton of reports across Georgia, Mississippi, or not Mississippi, Alabama. I mean, we had reports in Mississippi, but that was kind of the center focus right there. 86 tornado reports. My gosh. Okay, but yes, I mean, we've had a very active start of the year so far for sure. And I mean, looking at what we have going on right now winter-wise, because we do still have winter weather, even very far north. But I mean, at least in this area, you actually normally see winter weather. But this time of year, other than it's not completely common to get like rain in areas like this area of New York in January. So it's a little uncommon. But at least we're seeing some snow. Okay, so we have a little bit of snow across areas north of just north of Albany and Schenectady, in New York here, and then over into Massachusetts, New Hampshire, southern Vermont. We can see we also have some snow moving to this area, and it does appear like I'm going to talk about this in just a second, but you can see we're starting to get a little bit more action regarding the snow in that area. Up in Maine, or up into like Burlington, we can still see that snow, and then not much into Maine yet, but that will change. Which we can see how through tonight by 7 p.m. tonight. So this is probably about when this video will come out, a little bit later probably, but we can see we have some pockets of heavy snow across New Hampshire, Vermont. That rain line does move a little further north, up into northern Massachusetts there, but some areas could get a decent bit of ice right along that rain snow line. And then as we go into tonight, we see a little bit more cooling, and so on the back side of the low, we do see a good bit of some snow pushed further south, maybe to bring a good inch or two, maybe a couple of inches into areas like far northern Massachusetts, and maybe like an inch or two, or dusting into areas like even down in the central Massachusetts here. And then we see this second burst of snow. So in 9Z in the morning here, this is 4 a.m. You can see some pretty decent snowfall occurring across areas of New York, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and Ohio. And as this area heads kind of east, we see once again another burst of snow across areas of New York, Massachusetts. A little further south though, this could bring some more heavy snow to areas of Massachusetts, maybe like northern Rhode Island, northern Connecticut as well, and also a little further south in New York. So that'll be kind of good. Good to see. And a lot of areas will probably finish out with some flurries, even if you didn't get snow. A lot of areas could see some flurries. And then we can see in the back end, we see a little bit of like lake effect and just some like normal back end snow showers here. So yeah, that's kind of that little system. It should be out of here by Saturday, by really tomorrow evening. Like by tomorrow night it'll be out of here. Saturday will be more nice. So temperatures tomorrow morning, we can see we had a front associated with that helped to kind of push cold air out of the east, bringing some more temperatures closer to average, although they're still mainly to the southeast. Okay, the northeast is still above average by a lot, but the southeast is mainly a little closer to average, still a little slightly above average, but not as bad as it could be. Florida is pretty above average though, but you can see 30s tomorrow morning in areas of Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Texas. And then down in the Florida, we have temperatures still remaining in the 60s in Central Florida and Orlando, and then Miami at 64. And this has not got far enough here. So temperatures tomorrow afternoon are much closer to average, probably getting into the lower to mid 40s in the Nashville area. Most of Kentucky is probably going to be in the upper 30s, so pretty nice. Most of the Great Lakes are in the 30s, and then as you go further north up into that's not the Great Lakes states right there, but mainly like this area here are in the 30s. But then as you go further north though, into like northern Michigan, maybe some temperatures, maybe in like northern Michigan, Iowa, Wisconsin, maybe some areas not getting out of the 20s. Still pretty a little bit above average in this area here, mainly up towards this area as we have that system still pushing through. So temperatures still in the 40s. New York City, Boston is in the 30s, and we can see 30s and 20s in Maine and New Hampshire there. And this is just the east. The central U.S. tomorrow afternoon, we can see pretty cold across areas of Texas. Kind of spotty though. It's kind of weird. Some areas of Texas, like especially central and eastern Texas, are cold. And then the Panhandle's cold, but then western Texas is just pretty warm. Northern Plains 20s we can see. Central Plains we have mainly 30s and 40s. Very cold though tomorrow morning. We can see where we have snow cover in Nebraska, in some area like Nebraska, South Dakota. We can see we have temperatures that are very cold, maybe getting into the single digits in some areas. And then in the west, tomorrow morning, temperatures are a couple more hours of cooling here though, so seems like this is about where right here. Yeah. So temperatures tomorrow morning we can see are very cold in the west still. It's pretty much, like Seattle's in the 30s, Portland's in the 30s. Many areas of coastal California are still in the 30s or the 40s too. Very, very cold. Still in the west, so it's kind of good to see most of the U.S. being a little closer to average, I guess you could say. That's temperatures of tomorrow afternoon in the west. Let me take a look at that real quick. Very, very cold, as you can see here in some areas, and a little more mild as you get into some areas of the southwest here. But still, that's not that bad. It's still pretty cold, pretty below average for those areas, I'm pretty sure. Good to see most of a good bit of the U.S. being below average. Not below average, but closer to average, not much above average. Although the West has been pretty cold recently. So we take a look at the GFS models here. We're just going to kind of look at what we can expect over the next little bit here. So Saturday morning, we can see we have a low starting to. We have a couple of areas to watch. We have this low here. We have some showers along the Gulf Coast, the coast of Texas, Texas and Louisiana there, and then we have some snow back over here associated with that low. And then by Saturday afternoon, we can see we have a little bit of not really a winter storm, but kind of just some snowfall heading through Kansas. A good bit of Kansas could see some snow from this. The only areas would be Oklahoma, Kansas border, and maybe the southeastern corner of Kansas. But Kansas City could get some snow from this. Maybe Des Moines, but it'll be very light. We're going to see some like snow showers moving in across this area Saturday and Sunday. A good little rain event across portions of the southeast in the Ohio Valley there. But then Ohio picks up some snow Sunday. And then a good bit of the interior northeast. The interior northeast could see a pretty significant winter storm. As this low, as we see this Gulf low, or this low kind of track over the southeast, this other low, it helps to bring us a lot more moisture as this thing heads into the northeast, helping for a pretty significant interior northeast winter storm. Maybe even some definitely some breezy or some gusty winds too. 984 millibar low right there. Take a look at like wind gusts in that area there. Just indicated off the GFS. Mainly like in between like 25, 30, 35 there. So not quite looking like a blizzard over on the GFS, but pretty significant winter storm either way. And we see this next system here, which is a little more uncertain. About Tuesday to Wednesday next week, we see this thing come out. The GFS is now indicating a pretty significant winter storm for areas of the Midwest here, which it's been kind of a little more consistent on. It's trending a little bit to the west here, which is not good for people in the east that want snow. It's kind of what we've been seeing a lot, is just these systems that trend west. We take a look at the European, not the European wave, that's my bad. The European, this European. And actually, completely forgot about this. I figured out that I can do this so y'all can actually see this a little better. So we see this first system here that just a little bit of snow across areas of Kansas, and then turns into, like, once again, pretty significant winter storm. But then some areas of the coastal northeast, though, the Euro's been consistent on this. By Monday afternoon, we're seeing some areas like New York City, Boston, actually seeing some snow on the backside. The GFS, though, as you can see, that does not do that, but the European does. So it's something to watch as it moves out. And then this system here, the European, is really being interesting. With the GFS doesn't have this really being a big snow event across Texas, but we can see with that cold air in place, we do see some snow across Texas as we go into next week. But I wouldn't really want to focus too much on that. But the European, that shows like a full-on like winter storm for Texas, areas of northern Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and then northern Texas gets much more snow than like a lot of the northeast, unless you live in like the far interior regions and you're like west of that low pretty much. So in both these models have a pretty disappointing system for people that like snow in the east, and they favor mainly the central U.S. Up into like the Great Lakes. So we'll see kind of what'll happen with that. I want to go ahead and just focus on look at the central U.S. here. So I want to look at total snowfall associated with this first system. So kind of surprised we see that much snow. That's weird. Do we? Okay. That is pretty weird. I didn't think we'd I guess, yeah. Let's see where that's coming from. Okay. Yeah, so for this first system here, that's not what I wanted. We do see a good bit of additional snowfall. Keep in mind, some of the snow accumulation that we have here is already here, but we could be looking at a good couple of inches, a good half foot across areas of western Kansas, southeast Colorado on the European here. A good stretch of like 2 to 4 inches through southeast Nebraska, maybe Omaha getting some more snow here, Kansas City maybe, and then up into Illinois. We see a couple of inches in northern Illinois as well. The GFS is pretty similar to that hot spot right there. A little like the snow's a little further south, and we don't see as much across this area here. But either way, some areas like, mainly like western Kansas, southeastern Colorado, could be seeing some pretty good snow from this. Up into Des Moines maybe. Also, not really a heavy snowfall event at all, but enough to make the ground white for sure. And then over into the northeast here, it's going to be a little harder to kind of look at what we can be expecting, because we already have this big winter storm from before here. So the 24-hour snowfall totals here. So some of these could be a little bit lower, but I mean, this is a couple of days out though, so we don't really want to get on the snowfall totals anyway. We just want to look at where like the hot spots kind of are, like where we're seeing most of the snow. So I mean, it seems like most of our snowfall occurs kind of from PA up into areas of New York, and then into this, like a little further, definitely further south than what we're going to see in the GFS in just a second, but a good area, a good bit, like a lot of snow, a little bit more southern areas too, not quite as far north as with this system that we're seeing now. And then we do finish off with like a couple of inches, even down in like more coastal states like Connecticut, Rhode Island, even in Long Island, we do finish off with some snow on that model, or on the European. The GFS, on the other hand, much more kind of interior-based winter storm here. Although I do think we could be a good chance of some pretty good snowfall across this area of like PA, New York. But then this area here is a lot, or not a lot, but this area is a little further north. We see a lot more snow on the GFS than with the Euro in these areas. But you know, over 6 inches in some areas. But just, I mean, this would put areas in Vermont, like northern New Hampshire, and then like northern central Maine under it. But then look at this, the coastal regions literally get no snow. So it's going to be interesting to see what this does for sure. If we actually trend towards having a more coastal system, or a more interior northeast system here. But yeah, so either tomorrow or Saturday we'll talk more about this system here, and then we're going to talk about the next one that I just discussed before, with the potential like central U.S., like Midwest winter storm. I'd probably say it would be Saturday would be the next video. But yeah, so I hope you all enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. I hope you all have a great day tomorrow, and yeah, goodbye.